Good day to everyone listening out there. I'm with Eve Duncan, and we're going to be talking about one particular work for trumpet and piano, Winter Persephone from 2021. So welcome, Eve.
Hello, Joel.
Now, give us some background to the work.
Which sort of background?
Why you wrote the work, what was the inspiration behind it?
Well, this work was performed this year, and one reason I chose it is it's a lockdown work. And so I started it so long ago, I can't remember why. But I think now that, the Persephone myth in which Demeter goes to the underworld was pretty well like Melbourne going to the underworld for lockdowns, because we had more lockdown days than even Buenos Aires. So we were kind of down under the earth like Persephone. So, but I called it Winter Persephone because I'd done a piece for Tristam Williams, Deep in Summer, not written for him, but he was the only trumpeter who I was inspired by. And I thought, okay, I've done a summer piece, I might do a winter piece. And I like that idea that in winter the activity goes down to the roots of the trees. And even if through lockdowns we were in a kind of winter, maybe down under the earth there was still good activity happening.
Okay, so it's a COVID lockdown inspired work via the classic myth of Persephone. You've written, I think, if I'm right, you've written for both instrumentalists, but being Tristam Williams trumpet and Michael, Kieran, Harvey piano. Does it help you knowing you know the instrumentalists well and their quirks and about performance? Does it help you in your compositional process?
Well, put it this way. When I was a student, I felt there was no point writing music. There was so much good music in the world. And what chance would I, as a girl from the eastern suburbs of Melbourne, have of adding anything to this incredible history of music that we have? So I really just couldn't write for any pianists at all. And I found that it was only certain instrumentalists that drew a piece out of me. And Michael was one of those from 2001 when he commissioned a work. And since I find that really incredible musicians that I connect with for some reason will pull a work out of me. And Tristam became like that too. And I found when I was writing orchestral music for my PhD, I'd be thinking, what would Tristam play at this point as just a phrase of trumpet? So I guess I'm basically inspired by these musicians.
Does that, is there a problem with writing for a piece that you don't know necessarily the performers? Does that trigger a different compositional process?
I don't think I've done that unless it's for an ensemble, like that recent Chilean ensemble. I didn't know them. And actually I didn't compose for them, I arranged a work. But yeah, when I wrote for Rondalla, I didn't even know what a Rondalla was.
You better explain what a Rondalla is.
Yes, it's a Filipino ensemble, and it's in quite a few Hispanic countries, and it's based on medieval string instruments that the Spanish brought when they were the Spanish Empire to different parts of the world. And they're huge in the Philippines, and they're beautiful, these descendants of mandolins and all sorts of medieval Spanish instruments. So fabulous, gorgeous.
So just to get in perspective, you mentioned an experience you had in Chile. So say, what was that all about, and when was that trip to Chile and that particular piece performance?
Well, that was post-lockdown. We're so good at dates now. It was post-lockdown. It was last November, so less than a year ago.
So 2022.
Yeah, and this Chilean string orchestra is just phenomenal. And I had a chance to compose for them, and I hadn't heard them. But I had this Rondalla work, and I thought, they've got Spanish in common. There's a lot of the Spanish went to South America. And so I adapted this piece written with medieval modes and inversions, and it was performed in Chile. Yeah.
Getting back to Winter Persephone, it was part of a larger concert called Too Jazzy, of which you created and curated as well as created, and for music from Australia, the Philippines and Thailand. Give us some background about the concerts you organised, of which you were part of.
Well, after lockdowns, we didn't know what the world was going to be like, and we had to wait 2-3 years, I think, for this concert. Because one of the instrumentalists lived in Tasmania, and he still wasn't secure about the COVID and coming to Melbourne. So it was an incredibly delayed concert, and it really brought back how wonderful it had been in the Melbourne Composers League to do these Asia Pacific concerts, and how incredibly moving I actually found it to interact with these cultures, with the Philippines, with Thailand, places with incredible musical traditions that are essentially our Asia Pacific neighbours. And it was just delayed and delayed and delayed. And I think from that, it gave me such a sense of what this group of people in the Melbourne Composers League had done. This group of composers, by trying so hard to make really first-rate concerts with our Asian Pacific neighbours, and how incredibly valuable that was for Melbourne and Australia. So even though it was totally frustrating, it did happen, and it was wonderful.
We're getting to the end of our interview, but the performance we're going to be listening to today was from Saturday, the February 11, 2023, at the Church of All Nations in Carlton, with the performers Tristam Williams and Michael Kieran Harvey. But before we get on to listening to the piece itself, I want to take this opportunity while we're on the recording to thank you, Eve, for all the work you have done at the Melbourne Composers League. You're a founding member from the 1990s, and at the AGM this year, 2023, you decide to step down. It's a long time to be in the positions that you have with there, and you have done so much work for that organisation and generally Melbourne composers and the new music community. So I want to be on record to thank you very much for all the work you have done over all that time.